James Cameron isn't worried about Avatar trolls, nor is he about runtime, and he doesn't want you to worry about that either. Avatar Theory here, hope you're doing well and having a fantastic day. And in the lead up to July the 7th, where we'll get tons of details on Avatar The Way of Water in Empire magazine, today we got some information from James Cameron, including the runtime of the movie, well, kind of. As with the previous videos, the article states, quote, "It's inevitable. Whenever somebody or something encounters gigantic levels of success, it always begins some kind of backlash." And so while James Cameron's Avatar became the biggest box office smash of all time back in 2009, ringing up box office receipts to the tune of $2.84 billion and counting, overtaking Avengers Endgame after the 2021 re-release in China, and set to add that total when it returns to cinema here in September, there are plenty of people out there who love to pour scorn on the sci-fi epic, questioning its staying power, relevancy, and quality, as well as the desire for Cameron's upcoming quartet of sequels. But there's a reason the first Avatar made that much money in the first place, and the filmmaker himself really isn't worried about what certain quarters of the internet may say about it. Speaking to Empire in the upcoming world-exclusive Avatar The Way of Water issue, Cameron hit back at the criticism people tend to lobby at the first film. The trolls will have it that nobody gives a shit and they can't remember the characters' names or one damn thing that happened in the movie, he says. Then they see the movie again and go, "Oh okay, excuse me, let me just shut the bleep up right now." So I'm not worried about that. Cameron is similarly not worried, and equally not mincing his words when it comes to the supersized cinema runtimes. The original Avatar clocked in at 160 minutes in its theatrical version, while The Way of Water is currently coming in at around 3 hours. I don't want anybody whining about length when they sit and binge watch television for 8 hours, he says. I can almost write this part of the review, the agonizingly long 3-hour movie. It's like, give me a bleeping break. I've watched my kids sit and do 5 one-hour episodes in a row. Here's the big social paradigm shift that has to happen. It's okay to get up and go pee. Who's going to argue against a filmmaker with this much form in turning 3-hour epics into record-breaking box office behemoths? End quote. Now there's quite a few things that I want to talk about in this article, what he mentions. One being that he says that Avatar The Way of Water is coming in at around 3 hours. So that is kind of confirming the runtime. I'm guessing it'll be just short of 3 hours, maybe just short of like 5 minutes from the 3-hour mark, but regardless, it's going to be a lengthy film because we're gonna have to pick up on what happened to Jake and Neytiri since the last Avatar movie, and then of course the events of Avatar The Way of Water, and then of course in addition to that, setting up the third and inevitable sequels to Avatar. So there's gonna be a lot that needs to happen in this movie because it's gonna be a recap, it's gonna be its own story, and then it's gonna be a build up to the following sequels. Now as for James Cameron saying that, you know, people should not complain about runtime, he's got a very good point in there because recently me and my partner, we watched the season or the volume 2 of Stranger Things season 4, and the final episode was like 2.5 hours long, and the second last episode was like 1.5 hours long, and we just sat and watched that back to back. I think we paused once just to get more snacks, but we watched that back to back and we were wanting more. We wanted more Stranger Things, you know. So people often complain about a movie being long, saying it's too long, but then you see people watching the entire series, the entire season of an 8-hour show in one go. So it's kind of like a catch-22 situation where people complain, but yet they do the same thing. So it's more, I think, just in terms of how many times the movie's going to play at a cinema, because if a movie sometimes is too long, then it cannot play multiple times a day at a cinema. It can only play a certain amount of times, and obviously the cinema wants to make as much money as possible, so they want to replay the movie as many times as possible. That's why you do get director's cuts and extended versions of movies, because they cut it down to the theatrical cut so that they can fill the certain amount of seats or the certain amount of slots per day. Now I do believe that Avengers Endgame was just over the 3-hour mark, and with Avatar The Way of Water being roughly 3 hours long, we're likely gonna get an extended version or a director's cut or some sort of extended edition later on in 2023, much like what we got with the original Avatar movie. But what do you think about the runtime of Avatar The Way of Water? Do you think 3 hours is a long enough time for this movie, or do you want it to be shorter? Do you want it to be longer? And what do you think about the fact that people are obviously going to compare the box office sales of this one to the original movie, and do you think that Avatar: The Way of Water is going to be the highest grossing movie of all time, beating not only Avengers Endgame but the original Avatar movie as well? Let me know in the comments below, and for more Avatar content, have a look at the rest of my channel. Until next time, have a fantastic day and stay safe.